Here we go. Draft an M20. M20 time, draft a Rooney. Sitting down for some drafts. All right, let's crack this pack. What do we got going on here? Something sexy, I think. Okie doke. We've got a number of black cards in here. And no real bombs that I see. Not excited. Frost Links, Siphon, Green Flash, or Blue Flash. That Vilas here, I feel like is kind of a trap. Triple costed, mediocre bomb. Just an 8/8 flyer that there's enough there's enough like removal and pacifism. You don't want to have to wait until like turn 8 to be able to cast something that can just get easily removed. So I'm torn between opening him. I'm glad I opened him because I think I'm going to be able to pass him left and set someone in black who otherwise shouldn't be there. As I look through the pack, I noticed that there's only one even playable green card, and it's not only playable, it's a super busted green card. Green wants to be creature heavy no matter what color pair you're in, and being able to smooth your draws with the scry each time you play it is how you win with a creature heavy deck. Scry everything that's not a creature, keep pressure, swing. So I like the idea of cutting green here, setting the rest of the table off green. And there's enough black cards in this pack that if black is going to be open, I'm going to be super happy to see whatever tables at all. And it'll be a good amount of information. The blue cards, I don't know if anything's gonna wheel at all. But primarily that's just where I'm at here. Let's cut green off completely, see if it's open, see what comes back with black. And with our second pack, Shifting Ceratops. I just got past this from the left. This is, I wouldn't call it a bomb. It might be a little overrated in most people's lists, but it's like a super, it's a super solid first pickable card. And so I'm really surprised to see this coming immediately from the right. But it matches up perfectly with where I was in with my last pick. I want to be heavy green. So at this point, I'm just organizing what I think is the best cards from front to back and taking it in inventory to get a gauge on what's going to be open on the wheel. This is actually a super bad pack. Almost nothing good is here. I was actually considering the Lavakin Brawler. If I was going to be green-red elementals could be there, but it's a super weak pick anyway, and there's no way I wasn't going to be picking it over Ceratops. But it's just something I want to note, that there's only one decent red card in there anyway. Most of it is just to keep track of what's going to table, what isn't. And one thing I did note right there is that there wasn't any good white cards. So I immediately am starting to think one of the two seats on my right is in white, and they picked one of the only two playable white cards. But that's more anecdotal than anything at this point. I really don't know. In this pack, Disfigure is fantastic. I don't know about first pickle, but it's really high up there. It's something I do like. Other than that, Blade Brand is pretty good. Those other black cards are super medium. This one is kind of curious to me because it's hard to gauge where the white player is on my right, if they are white or if they just picked something else that went with it, because pacifism is premium white, and so that's something I'm noting. And that Angel is worth picking, but it's almost certainly not like a third pickable or second pickable card, so I'm not surprised to see that there. But at this point, even though I know I've passed a number of black cards on the left, I'm likely to see something wheel. There's no, I'm not third picking Might of the Masses. Anticipate maybe is there, but I haven't actually seen some good blue cards in the last pack, so I don't know if I'm going to be getting cut, if they're going to be forcing blue. So I just want to try to take a card that keeps me open, knowing that if on the wheel a number of black cards do come back and it's open, then I'm going to get paid back really well in black. Otherwise, it's no big deal. Disfigure, not playing that isn't going to be the end of the world. Cutthroat isn't bad. I love Unsummon. I'm actually a huge fan of blue. I think it's the best deck in the format. Now here, I actually legitimately am thinking about taking the Skeleton. I've got him like third or fourth best black common in my book. I think it's grossly underrated with a slow, grindy format, being able to recur chump blocks like that. There's not that much trample, but there's no way I'm passing up this blue foil. I think it's a great card, maybe undervalued. But this is the first time I'm actually taking a note as a signal that blue is likely open. The Unsummon is a great card. Fairy is a good one drop. It's definitely like above average one drop for sure. So I'm taking this as a sign that blue is open, and noting that there's solid black playables in the pack. So I'm starting to think green. I'm getting cut maybe twice because I'm not seeing good green cards. I'm not seeing good white cards. So I'm thinking green, white, green, red maybe. To my right, I take the blue card. I'm now seeing 4 picks in a row, solid black playables. So I'm thinking blue, black is likely where I'm going to be. But what I want to really hone in on is every opportunity to cut blue to the players on my left. I want everyone at the table to understand that blue is not open. And moving forward, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for opportunities to create uh, just, like a message to the people I'm passing left that blue isn't even worth playing. All right, so I'm seeing two really solid. So this one's super tough. Boreal Elemental is great. I love the fairy. This is the second one that I've seen, or I'm sorry, the Warden. So at this point, it's really tough because I am really high on Bone Splinters. I saw Sanitarium Skeleton. I'm expecting it to wheel and everyone to be low on it, at least initially in this format, and maybe just like perpetually low on it. So Bone Splinters turns on that sick combo with a recurring skeleton one drop that just makes Bone Splinters maybe the best piece of removal in the format. But more importantly, what I'm left with is even though I love Bone Splinters, I want to cut blue. That's where I want to be. And so if I'm passing any of these cards, I'm thinking, what am I likely telling the rest of the table is open? And while I want to take Bone Splinters, if someone sees a Boreal Elemental and an uncommon blue flyer, I'm concerned they might think blue is open. And even though I don't like the Warden as much, because I'm not going to be primarily flyers, what I care more about is is the message that the table is going to get by seeing two consecutive like what they might overvalue as like solid flyers. And while they are good, um, I really want to get the skeleton Bone Splinters combo going, and so I just decide to try to cut the best blue card in the pack. Here, Gravedigger is awesome. I love Siphon, and I know I'm probably going to be playing a slow grindy blue black deck, and so the life gain is totally relevant here. Um, I love what Blade Brand offers, and what I'm initially thinking here is I'm kind of surprised to see that red black card. The Ogre Siegebreaker is super busted with some pieces of equipment, and so I'm thinking there's no way someone immediately like maybe the 3 seats to my right are in red black sack. Um, Even though I do think red doesn't appear to be open, it's definitely not a sack deck. So that's just something I note while I take a premium grind, outvalue your opponent card in Gravedigger. I think Duress is really unplayable here. Really bad card in the format. Almost should never be played unless you're like in control matchup. And even though I think the best card in the pack, the best card for my deck is likely Vial, at least as a sideboard card, I have no like solid removal. Well, I do have some solid removal, but I don't have enough. Vial doubles as another good piece of removal. There's a lot of 2 toughness and less in this format, but I'm going to continue the theme of just cut the best blue card you can to hone in on whatever your base color is going to be. And even though the Drake I think is overplayed, overvalued right now in the format, it's a sideboard card at best. I don't want someone getting the wrong impression by overvaluing what is really just a sideboard, like a medium sideboard card, and thinking blue is open. So I just continue cutting blue. So I see that land, and I'm starting to think that while while I do think some blue cards are getting taken, I'm feeling pretty certain that blue white is not being taken. So there's like some blue cards or some white cards, but it's going to be low to the ground. Knowing that I don't see any green cards, I'm starting to think that blue green, not blue green, white green is likely being drafted 2 or 3 seats to my right. So I just take the solid blue card here and um, continue trying to cut blue, add some playables, and then just really that pack was more about getting information of where the rest of the table was at. So I'm feeling pretty certain green is both seats to my right, and green white is 2 or 3 seats to the right. And I see these blue cards, and things are starting to become more and more clear about where the rest of the table is at. This one's super tough because um, I I really want frost links, and again, if I want to cut blue, keep the rest of the table off blue, I should probably cut the Merfolk uncommon, the blue uncommon here. But seeing at least 2 really solid blue cards, this is the first time it's really occurred to me that I don't think anyone really is in blue, and so I don't need to continue cutting blue. I think the job has kind of been done. I found blue. With that being the case, I'm deciding to take what I do just think is going to be the better card instead of a 2 drop here, a good tempo play that's going to fit in well to a blue black deck that is just going to grind and tempo my opponent out. Um, and I don't think. I think I've cut enough blue cards that that's not going to send some kind of glaring signal. People are just going to be like, okay, yeah, there's nothing here. Um, Here, I really want uh, really all I'm really looking for is what kind of potential value can I get? I know I don't want to be Necromancer, and the Evolving Wilds just opens up the possibility of splashing so something crazy come along, and it's just good fixing, and in general, I want to get value where I can, and getting value out of a land slot is preferable. Um, Here, I don't think I'm going to be playing either one of these cards, but I'm imagining maybe getting potential value out of some kind of artifact and pushing damage through, but I realize I'm not going to be in a deck that needs to push damage through, so the key doesn't make sense. It could make sense in some decks, but not this one. And so instead I decide to counterpick the green card here. And since we are still in the first pack, I don't know what things are going to look like from my left. Maybe green is going to be more open. I do have 2 solid green cards, so I decide to just grab green uncommon. I'm really happy to see the skeleton there. One of the things that is a bummer is I really want that wand. That wand is going to work super great if I do end up in black. Being able to ping. There's a lot of really good 1 toughness creatures. The Sailor, Flash Sailor, Flyer, Cloud Conceer. There's a lot of great 1 drops, and so being able to ping them out is great. So because of it's a long grindy format, you could get multiple pieces of equipment, grind them out, and then ping with like crossbow plus wand. Take care of 2 and 3 toughness creatures, and it's great because it also helps your lower creatures trade up in combat by being able to take a 2 attack into a 3 toughness creature, and you get recurring value out of it, which is kind of the theme of this format. If you want to win, you need value, and you need value synergies in particular. So using that with Cutthroat is something I'm really hoping to get at some point as a crossbow or a wand. Wand in particular, because I doubt I'm going to be attacking that much. Um, Here, I just take the only playable, and I'm thinking with a Sanitarium Skeleton, I might actually be able to get some kind of value engine going with that altar, although I'm not really sure. And then I just end up taking the last card of the pack. I mean, Convolute is the kind of card my deck wants to be playing. Maybe it makes it, maybe it doesn't, but whatever. Sticks are sticks. The cards actually ended up getting off. Then I got another Duress, or I got a Duress. I'm not going to be playing anyway. Okay. Blue and black am I? And where do I stand with my curve? And going into the second pack, I want to pay attention to what my removal looks like, so I can get an idea of what may be worth prioritizing. Clearly, you always want to take premium removal when you get it, but it's a good idea to get an inventory of what premium cards are at what slot. And so, like, if I have a lot of 4 drops that are solid, which are common actually in this format, a lot of competing good 4 drops, then it makes sense to take, slightly worse 2 or 3 drops instead of your 4 drops. And so that's all I'm doing here is counting what kind of removal do I have, where am I going to be sitting at on the curve. Like right now, I don't have any good 2 drops, and that's just something I'm noting and hoping to, prioritize something that'll fall into place later. But it's always good to check your packs in between to verify where your curve is going to be at and what your removal looks like. Bone to Ash is absolutely a card I want to be playing. Cutthroat seems like he can make it. Unsummon's fantastic, but Murder's going to be an easy pick here. God's Willing is great, so whatever white player I'm going to be passing to the right is almost certainly going to be scooping that up, but there's not really anything else. So at this point, what I want to be doing is making a note of all of the cards coming from my left and first, second, third picks, so I can get a good idea of where these three players to my left are at. I have a good idea where the 2 to 3 players on my right are at. They're in green, red, white, some combination of those, and I'm not exactly sure where, but I know that's where they're at, and someone's sporadically taking blue, but that might be 4 seats to my right. So that's all I'm really looking for here is remember what cards are in the pack. I know I'm going to have 1 of 2 good blue cards on the wheel, likely Bone to Ash and not Unsummon, but I don't think anyone's in blue anyway, so I doubt they're going to be playing some kind of tempo deck using Unsummon, but I really don't care about that. Right now I'm just trying to remember the cards and understand where the seats on my left are at, so I can start planning on more strategic picks that I think are going to wheel. Best card here, Bone, or Blood for Bone, is so sick. Super great black card that is absolutely first pickable. I'm not exactly sure where Steven sits on his analysis of that card, like where he's valuing it. So I don't know if I can put him in black yet, but immediately I'm thinking he's not in black. There's no way he's in black if you just pass that card. I don't know if he's in green because of I think green players maybe overdraft the Gorilla Shaman or whatever. So right now I'm just seeing what kind of blue cards are coming around, what cards are in the pack that likely, not just are going to wheel, but are likely left over from whatever the player to my left just picked up. And so I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I don't think it's black. That's all I know right now. All right, so we see a number of white cards here. I don't think he's going to be in white. There's no way. I don't think he's going to be in blue, or not. Well, I don't think he's in blue, but I also don't think he's in green. So I'm thinking he's red, and I don't see any really premium black cards here. So I'm thinking black, black and red could be. Although clearly it's hard to say because I don't know what the rare is. But knowing that 2 people picked cards out of this and the second pick is missing, and they picked some common over an uncommon here, I'm feeling like one of the 2 players on my left is definitely in red, and one of them is in black, or something like that is going on. But it's more of a mental note because I have to figure out what seats they're in. Feral Abomination, I'm really low on. I figure like you're paying 6 for a 5/5, which means one of that you're paying for toughness, or you're paying for death touch, but you don't need a 5/5 death touch. I mean, most creatures don't survive a 5/5 anyway, so I'm super low on that card. I find it odd that there's a pacifism there, so I'm pretty sure the 2 players on my left are not in white, which helps me narrow down the archetype that they're likely in. Again, I don't see red here. The black is sparse, so I'm starting to feel more confident that the people on my left are in red, black, and I actually think maybe red, black, green. I take the best blue card in the pack and don't really worry about too much. As far as value engines are concerned, there's enough ETB triggers on both black and blue that, Wave Crasher is a great card to have, although it can be a detrimental trigger that you need to be watching out for if you play it on a board that forces you to bounce something that you have. He's just a great creature. He's a great creature. So here, my suspicions are confirmed. I know for sure, like those are 2 first pickable white or blue cards. Spectral Sailor is Windmill Slam, super sick card. I'm hoping that Cryptic Cave wheels, but whatever. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. So I know for sure the 3 players on my left are not in white, blue. I'm not even sure who's even drafting blue, if it's getting drafted at all, but it's grossly underdrafted at the table. And now I feel like I have everything I need to know that the 3 people on my left are in black, green, red. And although black is getting drafted, I don't think it's getting overdrafted. So I don't think 2 of the players are in black. I think someone's in green and 2 of the players are in red, actually. There's just so many great blue cards here. This is absolutely a slam dunk. the idea of getting another Frost Lynx did cross my mind because now I've got one way to bounce it, but there's no way to I can pass this card up. So as usual, I'm just taking an inventory of what's in the pack, what's likely going to wheel, and now that I feel like I know what 6 of the 8 people at the table are, um, except for the people on the furthest end, like away from me, you know, for the most part, I feel like the draft is going to be on rails. I've got green, red, white, are the 3 seats on my right, and then I've got black, red, green on my left, and someone is doing something with green across the table, or maybe someone is intermittently picking blue cards, but um, I really don't have to worry, like, where I'm at. Like, I found my seat, and I know where people are sitting. I am confused by this reduced to ashes. There must have been a super premium red card there, because I feel like I know where the seats are at, and that dual land also kind of confuses me. I'm just sure that. So this might be a little bit of a reach in trying to read the table. This is a super easy skeleton. It's, you know, now I'm just looking for bones for splinters, but that red card makes me wonder, or the dual land makes me wonder if the 4 seats to my left aren't actually in blue. So the red player, it just makes no sense for them to pick that up, and there must have been some other premium red card in that pack. But the red cards are getting siphoned off. There's just nothing there, and so I see this Siegebreaker again, and I'm confused because I know there's a red-black player. There has to be. Bone Splinters, Slam Dunk, that's everything I was hoping for. Now I can get that combo going with Bone Splinter, Sanitarium Skeleton. Um, but I'm wondering why in the world they didn't pick that up, and so I'm starting to think maybe my valuation was off a little. Turns out it wasn't, but I don't know. Maybe they just knew it was going to wheel. Bone to Ash, great card for my deck. Nothing even close to playable. I don't want to take the Epicurean. Doesn't make sense. So let's go. At this point, based on what I've passed, I'm pretty sure the player immediately to my right, because I see this green red card, I feel like no one in the left is in elementals. Mind Rot is as a super medium playable, by the way. I'll play it like as a 22nd, 23rd playable. I'm not excited about it. So I think the player immediately to my right has got to be red-green, because 5 seats to my left didn't pick up red-green. So I don't know if anyone's in elementals, but whatever. So I'm thinking about, what is it? The crab I really want, because if I'm playing a slow deck, I want to stay alive, but I already have good 4 drops I'm likely going to have in that slot. So I'm thinking, all right, Fairy Miscreant, this is my second one maybe, and I might get other ones, so I might end up just playing kind of an aggro tempo flyer deck, take the only possible playable card, although I find it curious again that Pegasus wasn't taken, so whoever's playing white is, I'm just 100% sure now, the white player has to be like white-green, and they're not playing flyers, because that Pegasus should have been grabbed by someone. No one's in flyers. No one's in like white-blue flyers. I'm just sure of it at this point. The Pegasus would have been grabbed up. So there is another open seat at the table, and there's certainly at least one person not drafting the right table. White-blue, I think was way open. I've got a number of white-blue cards in my deck that I'm just floating as playable blues that otherwise shouldn't be there, I guess. And here now I've drafted like 6. Oh, and a befuddle is that's a great combat trick that helps thin my deck, so I was happy to get that as a stick. But here, it looks like I have 6 good pieces of removal. I've got a number of combo engines that generate value at this point that I'm super happy with. So I've got 2 different ETBs, a way to balance them. I've got the skeleton with bone splinters, and now I've got blood for bones, which is a way to recur any of my other strong creatures to generate some more value as backup. So I'm feeling really good about my deck. Now what I want to do is just fill in the gap between any particular like obvious weak points. And right now I'm noting that I don't have any good early creatures. So I want to find something that's going to fill that spot that's not going to take away from the value of other cards that I have. So I'm going to be super torn at this point. Unless it's an absolute premium 2-drop, I'm not likely going to be drafting it because the cards in my deck are so damn good. I've got, like, out of 30 cards, I've got like 26, 25 playables. Um, so I'm going to be pretty picky about two drops that I take, if any at all. And then I open up a Sorin, which is interesting. So we see another fairy. I'm thinking about taking, that'll be like my third one, I think. I don't want to take the Epicure guy. I'm thinking about, as I was going through and looking at my deck, I was lighter on removal than I wanted to be. And so, although I'm looking at Sorin here and his +1 gives everything Death Touch, I don't have enough early creatures to give Death Touch to double as like a kind of removal, but also that's just on your turn. And I don't think I'm going to be an aggressive deck that's trying to push that much damage. So I'm not sure he has a lot of value for me. I only have like one or two vampires at the most, and so I settle on one of these four cards. Siphon helps me fill out my removal, and I think I'm going to need life gain because I'm a little slower and I'm low on early drops. So I try to take a more disciplined pick here. I could take a third Frostlinks, which is super tempting because I've got ways to bounce them in multiple ways to get a lot of great value. But with that said, life gain and removal are really important to me because I noted as I was reviewing my pack that I was low on good removal, and I'll take, like, there's a lot of 3 toughness and below creatures in the format, and so I just try to do my best at this point to stay disciplined, take a piece of removal to keep me alive, and there's enough black cards. There's enough cards in that pack that I know I'm going to get something valuable on the wheel. There's so many good cards, and so I end up taking the card that I feel like there is going to be more competition at the table for anyway. Let's see, what do we have? A great blue card. Some other mediocre cards. A vulture. Unplayable. Yeah, there's no way I can't take... What is this? Dreams? Oh, yeah. Okay, so, you know what? I was, yeah, this is really easy pick. The last blue rare, actually, I misread that card. The last blue rare, it was a card that I wanted to take, and I ended up taking the Frost Links over it because that was the first time during the draft I was actually hedging toward kind of playing the table. While it was a rare card, it really didn't fit in a lot of people's decks, the Flood of Tears. And I figured unless someone rare drafts it, it almost certainly is going to make it back to me. And knowing that no one really was in blue, and they definitely weren't in a blue tempo deck, it should make it back to me. So I took the worst blue card, the Frostlinks, over the Tears, Flood of Tears, because if people weren't rare drafting, I should have gotten that back on the wheel. And I did end up reading the table, but someone definitely rare drafted it. And I kind of missed on that play, but, you know, you miss every shot you don't take. So I was happy to see the Cryptic Caves here, but there's no way in hell I'm not taking Thief here. I've got Thief as my second best black card. It's way too damn good. And seeing that, at this point it doesn't even matter because I feel like I know where everyone except for the two furthest players are. But I know for sure the black players on my left, the green and white players on my right, and across those different 4 players, they're splashing different kinds of red. The red creatures are being drafted to my right, and the red removal is being drafted to my left. So, oh, and look, now we see a blue. Now we see that the signpost, blue-white eagle, and so yeah, that confirms I had the read right on where the table was at with the blue that was being drafted. That portal that I picked up, I have it ranked. It has done so much work every single time that I've gotten it. Enough if you get the right ETB triggers, it's just super sick value that you get, recurring value. Also, it works as great instant responses, like during combat. You can just blank someone's combat trick or their removal on your turn, and that card over the course of the game ends up becoming 3, 4, 5 for 1. And especially if you bounce to get additional ETB triggers, it's an absolutely busted card. So I've got that card ranked as absolutely first pickable, but like an absolute bomb in the format. And the only reason I won't first pick it is because I think people are lower on it than they should be. But it is so sick, super sick card. Anytime I see that, I snap pick it. Now I see Risen Reef here, and you can see me shaking my head because um, clearly no one's in all like Teamer Elementals or whatever. So this again confirms where people are at. Um, if anyone's even trying to do Elementals, they're not doing blue from my right. But yeah, Elementals, it wasn't open. It was really interesting, but yeah, Risen Reef fifth pick doesn't even make sense. That's so stupid. Um, in an unsummon is what I want. I like the idea of getting like a crossbow or piece of equipment here, but I need early drops. If you remember when I was looking at my deck, I noticed I was missing like 2 drops in good early plays. So what I need is a tempo play. And how am I going to get a good tempo play? Unsummon works. What I'm really debating here is the value of getting the crossbow and attacking, pinging something, and then playing Cutthroat. I already have a Cutthroat, so the potential value of getting free pieces of removal from my crossbow and Cutthroat combos and just being able to bounce my Cutthroat over and over again is enough to just it's kind of an effective board wipe. Um, and so I spend a lot of time looking at that pick because I'm trying to weigh the late game possible value or the early game survivability. And I just go with early game survivability because I'm trying not to be too greedy. And I see the wand, I'm super happy. I'm going to grab a wand, which is awesome. I'm excited. And then I see Cloud Conceer. And so I actually, cuss. Not too loudly, but loud enough for the table to hear because I want that wand. And now I see a first pickable blue card come to me. And so I absolutely have to pick up the Cloud Conceer. And it's at the cost of a wand, which that wand is so much better, I think, than people realize right now in the early meta as people are figuring out this format. But clearly I'm happy for Cloud Conceer. I'm not going to not pick it. I just really wanted that wand. But, no big deal. Is what it is. So Soul Salvage is the kind of the last piece of the combo engine that my deck needs. If I get a Soul Salvage, I have a number of infinite combos with Gravedigger and Blood for Bones and some other stuff. And so I was debating if I should pick that up or go with Air Elemental because at this point I just realized I'm not sure what my win con is going to be. Like, how am I going to win? Is it going to be in the air? Is it going to be with... I'm just going to try to, go wide with creatures? And so even though I really, really want the Soul Salvage, I end up going with the Air Elemental because I don't think I have enough power to actually win. I don't think I have what it takes to actually finish games here. And so Air Elemental is what I end up going with to flex my discipline muscle or whatever. I don't know. And I see another Soul Salvage. I see Wave Crasher. And so I do get greedy here. This is a greedy pick, and I think it was wrong. I end up going with the Wave Crasher because coming off the heels of my last pick, whenever I was thinking, how do I win the game? I was concerned I don't have enough gas to get there, and I need power to win. And a 4/4 for 4 is enough power to actually get there. And so I thought, well, I'll take a 4/4 that bounces a creature, gets me additional value. I have multiple Frostlinks. I have Cloud Conceer. And then I can balance other Wave Crashers and just keep bouncing things back and forth if I don't have the portal. And if I do Cutthroat and do some damage, then I can just do a lot of sick combos. So I end up going with the Wave Crasher when really I think what I should have done is taken a step back and went with Soul Salvage because that's going to give me additional value. And at this point, if I hadn't forgotten what I had drafted, I would have just Windmill Slammed Soul Salvage. I had enough creatures. I had enough competition in my 4-drop slot. It didn't make sense to even pick that up. And here, I, again, am asking myself the question of does it make sense to try to push damage with the key? Probably not. And the Vulture is really good if I had Soul Salvage. But I ended up taking it just because even without Soul Salvage, I might be able to mill my best creatures and then play Blood for Bones. But Soul Salvage is really what I need, and I should have just taken it. I should have taken it and the last pick. Um, but my greed happens. Whatever. Love seeing the fairy here, but there is a 0% chance I pick up the fairy over a Frostlings, and I would love to pick up a third Frostlings. So this one was a really, really hard pick because Frostlings is super tempting. At this point, I have just infinite ways of getting value off of ETB triggers, and being able to lock people down with Frostlinks. What I do here is I'm weighing the sideboard value of that Noxious Grasp. If I play against green or white, and at this point I know that of the four players to my left and right, at least two of them are in green, and one of them is likely green-white, I, um, I figure it's probably best if I just take the sideboard card that Noxious Grasp is an A plus plus. Noxious Grasp is an absolute windmill slam bomb as a sideboard card. Super efficient, unconditional removal. It might as well be if you're sideboarding it in. That's on 70% of the time anyway. Um, like just if you mainboarded it, but it's not mainboardable unless have mill baked into your deck, or some kind of looting. I mean, um, well, anyway, so even though I'm super tempted to grab links, I make the very difficult decision of taking what is a super sick sideboard card that gives me a better chance of winning in the long run, because at this point getting another Frostlinks is like a win more. I don't need to flicks on someone that hard. um, I don't know exactly how many I have, but I know I've got like 10 playable 3 drops, so I'll just go for the great 2 drop and hope it's the right decision. I'm really shocked to see Boreal Elemental here. Not shocked to see Feral Abomination on the wheel, but yeah, I mean, I've got my pick of great. All of these cards I would have been happy to get on the wheel, but Boreal Elemental is something that helps me fill my 5-drop slot, which I think I only have 2 other cards, and it doubles as kind of a win con here. So it's an easy pick. I already have a Bone to Ash, so I'm not upset either way. Whatever I'm going to pick, I'm just trying to decide how much more controlling do I want to be. But quite honestly, I'm not sure why that took me so long to pick. Here, there's nothing too fancy going on. I figure if I, for some reason, need another win con, if I play my deck and realize it's too slow, then this 5-drop here could be super huge, but I just don't know how many creatures I'm going to run. I don't know if he's going to enter like really wide or whatever, but he is a guaranteed 2-for-1 for the most part. I mean, he is a really good card, and I don't know why he tabled. Like, the only thing I can think of is whatever the black players are in, can't be it can't be like a low to the ground aggressive, or someone must have been in a low to the ground black aggressive deck, that's the only reason you don't take a 5-drop and like a double costed black 5-drop at that.